Hello students, I am Harshila Datte, Senior Lecturer of Department of Computer Engineering. In this video lecture, I am going to teach you the topic Types of Attack of Unit 1. The unit outcomes of this video lecture is explain the characteristics of given type of attack related to security. Learning outcomes. After this video lecture, you will understand what are types of attacks: DOS, denial of service, DDoS, that is distributed denial of service attack, backdoor and trapdoor, sniffing, spoofing, man-in-middle attack, replay attack, TCP/IP hijack attack, and encryption attack. So let us start with the types of attack. So there are basically two types of attack: active attack and the passive attack. In active attack, attacker tries to modify the content of the message. In passive attack, attacker observes the message, copy them and may use them for the malicious purpose. So in passive attack, attacker only sees the message. In active attack, attacker see and modify the message. These are some types of the active and passive attack. Passive attack can be eavesdropping, traffic analysis, and active attack can be masquerade, that is nothing but interruption, replay attack, message modification, and DOS. Denial of service attack. A DOS attack is an attack designed to prevent the system or service from functioning normally. A DOS attack can exploit a known vulnerability in specific application or OS, or they can attack features or weaknesses in specific protocols or services. So DOS attack can attack on OS or application or on protocol. So in this video lecture, we are going to see three DOS attack: SYN flood attack, ping of date attack, and DDoS attack. Among which SYN flood attack is the attack on the protocol, and ping of date attack is the attack on the application or OS. A SYN flood attack. A SYN flood attack can be used to prevent the service to system temporarily in order to take the advantage of trusty relationship that exists between the system and the another. So let us see the three-way handshake of the TCP/IP. So if system 1 want to communicate with the system 2, system 1 first send a sync packet to the system 2. If system 2 is ready to communicate with the system 1, then system 3 will reply the sync acknowledgement message as well as sync for the same one. If system 1 is also ready to communicate with the system 2, then system 1 will send the acknowledge message to the system 2. After this three-way handshake, the actual communication begins. SYN flood attack takes the advantage of this three-way handshake method like this. In SYN flood attack, the attacker sends a fake communication request to the target system. Each of these requests will be answered by the target system, and we then wait for the third party of the handshake. So whenever target system receives the sync message from the attacker it preserves the connection and wait for the acknowledgement. Since the requests are the fake, means a request is sent with the non-existing source IP address. So the target system is responding to a system that doesn't exist. The target will wait for the response that never come as shown in figure. So after receiving the request from the attacker, target keep the reservation for the connection and wait for the acknowledgement that will never come. So for SYN flood attack, attacker send multiple fake request with the fake IP address, request message with the fake IP ID to the target system. So target get overloaded with the request and reserve all the connection and get down. If the target at the specific application, okay. So this is how the SYN flood attack happens. The next attack is a ping of date. Ping of date, it is targeted at a specific application or OS, whereas SYN flood was targeted at the protocol, TCP/IP protocol. In POD attack, the attacker sends the ICMP Internet Control Message Protocol packet, ping packet, equal to the exceeding the 64 kilobytes, which to say that greater than the 64 into 1024, that is 65,536 byte. So ping packet having the size of 65,536 byte, large size. This type of packet should not occur naturally. There is no reason for the ping packet to be larger than 64 KB. Certain systems are not able to handle this size of packets, and then system will hang or crash. The third DOS attack is the distributed denial of service. In DOS, a DOS employing multiple attacking system is known as a distributed DOS attack. In DDoS attack, were made famous in 2000 with highly publicized attack on eBay, CNN, Amazon or Yahoo. In DOS attack, a service is denied by overwhelming the target with the traffic from the many different systems. Now see here, one attacker, if there is a target system, one attacker system creates the masters that become the handlers, and that master creates more masters, and whenever attacker send the command for attack command to masters send this command to all the zombies, and zombies will send multiple requests to the target, and target will fill with all different multiple requests and get down. So this is how the distributed denial of service attack happens. So how we can prevent those DOS attack? Means how we can prevent SYNFLOOD, ping update and DDoS attack. The first technique is to prevent SYNFLOOD attack. Change the timeout option for the TCP connection so that attack such as SYNFLOODing attack are more difficult to perform because unused connections are dropped more quickly. So target system will not wait for too long time for the acknowledgement message. The second is blocking the ICMP at the edge device of the network will prevent the ICMP based attack, that is ping update attack, from external side while still allowing the full ICMP functionality for the traffic inside the network. Means what? For preventing the POD attack, block all the ICMP packets comes from the outside of the network at the boundary. The third prevention is to prevent a DDoS attack. You must either be able to intercept or block the attack message or keep the DDoS network from being established. To prevent this, continuously scan whether there are zombies or not, or whether there is a attack agents or not. And the last prevention technique is apply always latest patches and upgrades to the system that the application running on them. So if you apply latest patches and updates, all the weaknesses or vulnerabilities will be patched, and no one attacker can take the advantages of that vulnerabilities. The next attack is a backdoor and the trapdoor. The term backdoor is also a more commonly used to refer the program that attackers install after gaining unauthorized access to the system, to ensure that they can continue to have unrestricted access to the system, even if their initial access method is discovered and blocked. So backdoor is nothing but creating one access way to accessing the PC by the unauthorized person. Backdoor can also be installed by the unauthorized individual. Backdoor can be installed by the unauthorized individual should they run the software that contains the Trojan horse. The next attack is a sniffing. The next attack is the sniffing. A network sniffer is a software or hardware device that is used to observe the traffic as it passes through the network on the shared broadcast media. So sniffing is nothing but the reading all the traffic, network traffic. Network sniffer can also be used by the attacker to gather the information that can be used in the penetration attempt. So here we can see in the diagram, this is the internet network and this is the attacker who is listening all the traffic. All the username, password or information shared, sent through all the PC on the connection, attacker can read all the information, traffic information, and steal all the information of the user. Sniffers can be used by the network admin for the network performance also. But if the network sniffers are used by the attacker for malicious activity, then it is a sniffing attack. The next attack is a spoofing. Spoofing is nothing more than making data look like it has come from the different source. So spoofing is nothing but stealing the identity. So there are three ways of spoofing. Email spoofing. Also there is one variation in email spoofing, that is URL spoofing. IP address spoofing and spoofing and trusty relationship. We will see these three ways one by one. Email spoofing. Email spoofing is the creation of email message with the fork sender address. For example, if attacker want to spoof the XYZ corporation which owns xyz.com, attacker might gain the access to URL xyz.corp.com. So if the original company site is www.xyz.com, attacker may take the domain xyz.corp.com and will send the email with the this domain like abc@xyz.corp.com. So someone receiver will confuse that they get the message from the xyz.com instead of xyzcorp.com. So this is what the email spoofing. Also there is a URL spoofing. There is another variation. If the original website is www.whitehouse.gov, so some attacker can make the same website with www.whitehouse.com and no one will see the whole domain name and try to get the access to the spoof website. Also this kind of URL spoofing is done in the banking areas also. Attacker makes a spoof website, taking spoof URL with little changes and make the same website as of the original bank website. If any user come to the spoof website, he or she will enter his all the information about the account and attacker will get all the information, bank account information of the user. The next spoofing way is the IP address spoofing. It can be done by Smurf attack. In IP spoofing is the creation of IP packets which have a modified source address in order to either hide the identity of the sender to impersonate another computer system. For example, if attacker want to do the attack on the target system, attacker will send echo request having the to all on the broadcast IP. So all the PC on the network will get the echo request message from the attacker, but attacker enter the source IP address of the target. So whenever all the network PC send the echo reply, all the echo replies are sent to the target system instead of attacker, because attacker spoof the IP address of the target and target will filled with all the echo replies message and get down. The third way of the spoofing is the spoofing and trusty relationship. Spoofing can also take the advantage of trusty relationship between two systems. If two systems are configured to accept the authentication accomplished by each other, an individual log onto the system might not be forced to go through an authentication process again to access the other system. So some attacker can take this advantage of this trusty relationship. We can see in the figure that if attacker want to attack on the target system, then attacker will spoof the identity of the original sender of the target system. So whenever first thing happen is uh, uh, attacker first perform the SYNFLOR attack on the spoof host, means original or sender, because original sender will not get contact with the target system. So attacker first perform the DOS attack on the spoof host to get that down, then attack on the trusted system, then all the responses from the targeted are ignored by the original sender spoof host, and then attacker stop the DOS attack. So whenever attacker spoof any identity of any system, attacker first down that system and then steal the identity and communicate with the unauthorized user by spoofing the identity of the spoof host, original sender. The next attack after spoofing is a man-in-middle attack. So man-in-middle is nothing but the attacker place themselves into two system who are communicating and hold the traffic through the attacking system, like in the diagram. It is done by ensuring that all the communication going to or from the target host is routed through the attacker's host. So attacker then observe all the traffic before relaying it and can actually modify or block the traffic. Next attack is the replay attack. Replay attack occurs when attacker captures the portion of the communication between two parties and retransmit it at the latter time. For example, an attacker might replay the series of command and codes used in financial transaction to cause the transaction to be conducted multiple times. The next attack is the TCP/IP hijack. TCP/IP hijack, and also known as a session hijacking. These are the terms used to refer to the process of taking control of an already existing session between the client and server. Once a user has completed the authentication sequence, attacker can then use a session and carry on as if the attacker and not the user had authenticated with the system. To prevent the user from noticing anything unusual, attacker can decide to attack the user system and perform the DOS on it, taking it down so far so that the user and the system will not notice the extra traffic that is taking place. So this is how the session hijacking is done. Whenever all the TCP/IP session is established, the attackers steal all the information. So if the session is established, then attacker didn't require any authentication process because authentication process, attacker can take directly all the information from the session. The last attack is the encryption attack. So what is encryption? Encryption is nothing but converting your original text into some unreadable format or into secret text. So cryptography is the art of secret writing, and encryption is the process of transforming plain text, that is original text, into the unreadable format, that is secret format, as a cipher text using the specific technique or algorithm. So cryptanalysis is the process of attempting to break the cryptographic system. Cryptographic system can be compromised in following ways. So weak keys, exhaustive search of key space, and indirect attack. Let us see the weak keys. The certain encryption algorithm may have specific keys that yield a poor or easily decrypted ciphertext. For example, an encryption algorithm that consists solely of the single XOR function, an exclusive OR function, where two bits are compared and one is returned if either of the original bits but not both is a 1. So XOR operation is what? If both bits are 1 1, then it will get the answer 1. If 1 0, then it will get answer 0. If 0 1, it will get the answer 0. and if there is a 00 bit, then it will give the answer 1. Where the key is repeatedly used to XOR with the plain text. A key where all bits are zeros, for example, would result in a ciphertext that is same as the original plain text because of the XOR function. So, if there is a weak keys, then there is a chances of the attacks on the encryption. The second is an exhaustive search of key space. If you keep the key too short, means if you keep the key of 2 bit only, so for 2 bit 1 and 0 there are only 4 options, so any user or attacker can try all the 4 options. So a key length will still play the significant role in how easy it is to attack the method of the encryption. Generally speaking, the longer a key, the harder it to be attacked. Thus 40-bit encryption scheme will be easier to attack using brute force technique than a 256-bit base scheme. So, for encryption algorithm, you must keep the key length big, not the short. The last encryption attack is the indirect attack. One of the most common way of attacking on an encryption system is to find a weakness in the mechanism surrounding the cryptography. For example, it includes poor random generators, unprotected key exchange, key stored on the hard drive without sufficient protection, and other general programming errors such as buffer overflow. So these are the all indirect attack. Indirect attack target on the weaknesses in the cryptographic algorithm. So in this video lecture we have seen all the attacks, all the attacks, that is snipping, spoofing, man-in-middle attack, replay attack, DOS. In DOS there are 3 ways: DDoS, SYN flood attack, and ping of date attack, and trapdoor, backdoor. So these are all the attacks. Thank you.